64 Tacos Podcasts presents Is This Song Good? This is episode 26. Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You.
All right, we're back with another episode of Is This Song Good? A 64 Tacos podcast. We're going to do Whitney Houston's cover of Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You. So obviously everybody has heard this song in the entire world, probably. I for sure heard it when it came out with the Bodyguard, and couldn't avoid hearing it, and it's a great song. It's very popular, great vocal performance, super iconic, all these other things. And then of course everyone's favorite fact of the time was, did you know it's a Dolly Parton song? It's not whatever.
Right.
Which didn't really prompt me to go seek out the Dolly Parton version in particular. But I heard it later, and when I heard it, I think it was probably like on VH1 or something, like them playing a snippet of it, just part of the verse and chorus. And I remember thinking, wow, there's something I actually really kind of like about, even though I'm not a huge country music fan or a Dolly Parton fan. I mean, I like her as a person, but I mean, I don't really care about her music in particular.
You're saying she has a nice personality?
Yeah. Yes. She seems very okay. Yes. We've been friends for years,
She's
Dave,
sweet.
and
Okay.
she's awesome. But I refuse to listen to any of her songs. No, she seems like a decent
All right, that's
person.
enough.
But yes, yeah. No more
That's enough
banter, Dave.
banter.
Settle down with the banter. Everybody hates banter. You know that.
Yeah. That's the word on the street anyway.
So I heard a little bit of it here and there, and I was like, it's actually kind of, it's kind of like nice and sweet and not bombastic and over the top, which for better or worse is definitely what the Whitney Houston version is. And I was like, that's kind of nice. And that was kind of how it lived in my head. Like, I kind of like the original. That was the way I thought about it when I did think about it, which was pretty rarely. And then I chose it this song because I figured, well, everybody knows this cover, so why don't we do that one? And I listened to the Dolly Parton version, and for the first like half of the song, I was like, this is very nice. It's sort of like simply delivered, not too over the top. It's similar, basically the same melody, just a little bit less overwrought. But then I really did not enjoy the spoken word verse very much.
Yeah.
And the production becomes very 70s country, which, is sort of like really sort of cheesy, string heavy. I don't know. It's like, you had a great song. You could have just let her sing the song with a guitar, and that would have been great, and then I would have really have enjoyed it. So I'd love to hear her do a non-overproduced version. But that was my take on I know it's the original, not the cover, but I knew the cover so well. It was the original that I was really listening to in this case. What did you guys think?
This is one of those songs where I would guess 95% of the population heard the cover version first, if not more. And Whitney Houston took this song and just blew it out of the water. It's got one of those, iconic music moments where you hit the snare drum and then she goes into that huge note. I'm not even going to try, but you know what I'm talking about.
Do it, Dave. Sing it.
No.
Okay. Probably
one of the great moments in music, like we talked about with the saxophone in the NXS song.
The key change.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just, it's not my favorite type of music. I'm not a big fan of the pop, music, but I have so much respect for her ability to sing. And, I don't really like all the little runs and stuff. That's not the kind of music I choose to listen to typically. But when you've got a voice like her, um, you got to do that. It'd be like Joe Satriani not doing all the Joe Satriani things, which can get a little bit tedious at times, but that's music that I like. So, yeah, it's a phenomenal song, not my style. And then I don't know if I had ever heard the Dolly Parton version, but I went and listened to it, and I thought, you know what? This is a perfectly fine country song. It's more on the country scale. It's more towards where the stuff that I can actually listen to, where it's not over the top and stuff until, like you said, the second half, of course. But yeah, I don't know that I would ever choose to listen to the Dolly Parton song because it is country and I don't like country, but it was neat to see where the song came from. It was a neat exercise, I thought. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, so I did not like the song when it first came out, and I didn't like the movie either, The Bodyguard.
Well, no, the movie's garbage.
Yeah, but well, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. But no, like you, Dave, it's not really my cup of tea. The style, the pop love song type of thing. But I do recognize like the timeless, iconic. It's a classic. Like you can't get around that. And it was everywhere at the time. But I think, at least from my memory, like the times that I really heard it and probably enjoyed it was like at the roller skating rink when they were doing kind of like the slow skate times.
Couple skate.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't out there skating
Girls
with anybody else, but yeah. But it's I think,
thank goodness for Ivans.
I like listening to it now. I can recognize that the song is a good song, and Whitney is an amazing singer. But I think what's really interesting about it is, it sort of evokes like that time period. When you listen to it, it kind of it's almost like a little mini movie of the Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston love story of that time. And I mean, not like their characters from the movie is what I mean. And
you don't know the names of their characters?
I don't remember the name. Rachel and Bodyguard dude. His name was just Bodyguard, right?
Yeah.
That's his name, the Bodyguard.
Yeah.
It's the original title was going to be Rachel and the Bodyguard.
Yeah.
Yep. But I love the saxophone solo. That's so 90s awesome, perfect 90s. But listening to the Dolly one, I'd never heard it, and I didn't know for a very long time that it even was her song. And yeah, like you guys said, it's an okay song. It definitely feels very dated. It doesn't have, the production quality that is timeless. And the spoken word part is kind of goofy, but it's fine. Yeah, like the Whitney Houston one, it's better. You can't deny that it's not. And, but it's, I think Dolly, kind of like what we've talked about in other episodes, Dolly wrote an interesting song, but she didn't really captivate the quality of it at that time. She did her thing and it was fine, but somebody else came along, Whitney, and just, knocked it out of the park with her voice.
So you're saying it's Whitney bitch? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, Whitney Houston does a style of music that doesn't get me too excited, but I will listen. Like if a Whitney Houston song comes on the radio, and I don't own any Whitney Houston. I don't make an effort to seek it out, but I'll listen to it because she just there's something, I don't know. It's just it's kind of like Aretha Franklin. It's just a voice that sounds great.
Yeah. Well, I'll do you one better. I'll not only listen to it, but I'll probably turn it up a little bit too.
Yeah, agreed.
There's something about her voice. It's just so magical.
It's fun.
And yeah,
it's fun to just be.
Comparison.
yeah, to just be driving around with the windows down with I Want to Dance with Somebody cranked up on a summer day, and you're like, oh, this is great. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, Whitney Houston really is good, even though there's no like any of her contemporaries doing a similar style. I don't care about, but she's just, her voice is just great, and yeah, the runs and everything. When she does it, it's cool. Like when other people do it, I'm like, no, you're not Whitney, so this just seems self-indulgent and silly, you know. But yeah, that is. I mean, there's no doubt that is the iconic version. But interestingly, I was reading a little bit on it. I think this has more to do with, like Dave said, 95% of people have heard the Whitney version, but it was actually a number one hit when it came out in '74, and then again when it was on what was that movie that Dolly Parton was in? Was it that 9 to 5, I think. In 82, she re-recorded it on a movie soundtrack. It went number one again. So it's been number one twice before Whitney Houston recorded it. So I feel like people who like country music who are older would definitely know that song very well before they heard the Whitney version. I wonder what they would think of it. That's kind of a more interesting question, I think. But yeah, for me, you gotta say that the Whitney version is superior. I would love to hear an acoustic guitar only version of it, because I think the song would be great. It just, they had to get in there and dump a bunch of soppy crap on top of, basically a good song. But yeah, I gotta say the Whitney version is far superior, as certainly as it stands.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely overproduced. There's no doubt about it. But
and you know what? So is the Whitney version, but it works.
No, that's what I was talking about.
Oh,
with
okay.
all the,
Yeah.
I'd really like to hear Dolly do a cover of the Whitney Houston version. Like, just try it, redo it in that style, like from start to finish, and just see what happens.
Yeah, there's something really nice.
Yeah, that could be interesting
and unassuming about the way Dolly Parton sings the song that I kind of like, but you can't deny the power of the Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sort of like Dolly was kind of sort of laying the groundwork of what to do with the vocals, with the singing, and then Whitney was just like, well, I'll take it a little bit further.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I think we all pretty much agree the Whitney's version is better.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think they're both good, as long as you're a fan of that genre of music.
Yeah.
So Zach, we've got your song next week. What are we going to be doing?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing it's a Nick Cave cover, it's Nell Smith and Flaming Lips doing a cover of a Nick Cave song that's called "Girl in Amber." That'll be next week. I caught it on audio.